I just didn't want to come back to people over here.
You can trust me.
Okay, first thing I want to do is point out my brochure to you so that I don't forget to mention this. Our motto, our theme is Life, Liberty, Opportunity. One of the main things is on the website on the back. Please click into fedaforcommons.com. There's a free number on the back. You can call into the campaign. Please click in and join and find out more, because there's no way to cover everything that there is about me on the website. One thing on the pictures inside I want to point out real quick as I talk so I don't forget. There's a picture of me and my 4 sons there. And I have 5 children. I live in Feda County. I teach advanced placement biology at Feda County High School, honors biology and regular biology. Last semester I had 100% pass rate on my SOLs, which is, I'm very proud of that. The kids worked really hard, but I do work hard at what I do. And I do work every day. I was in the classroom today doing microscope labs and serving the students and the parents and the citizens of Feda County before I came down here tonight. I'll be back in there again in the morning. I am a mom, and I have 5 children. My daughter is married, lives in Louisa. I have 2 little grandsons, Wes and Wyatt, and I'm very much concerned about their future and what's going on here in America. And the government is committing intergenerational theft with all of this taxing and spending and debt. $12 trillion of debt that our government has put us in and that our children and grandchildren are going to have to pay for. And that's ridiculous. And that's scary when you look at the youth of America and then our little ones that are going to end up having this burden on them. The federal government is the only entity in our country that does not balance its budget. So a balanced budget would be one thing that I would be very, very strong on, that we have to balance our budget. We do it in our homes, we do it in our communities, we do it in our state even. So it is very necessary that we balance the budget in Washington. I have 4 sons, and 3 of them are currently on Army ROTC scholarships and at Virginia Tech in the Corps of Cadets up there. Tim is a senior in business, Dan is a sophomore in civil engineering, and David is a freshman in history, and I'm very, very proud of them. They will graduate as 2nd lieutenants, and they will serve our country in the military. So I'm a very strong supporter of the military, very strong supporter of our national defense, and we do anything to help see that our military is well funded and our appropriations are done to see that our military is taken care of. Right now, our veterans hospitals are very understaffed, and that would be a key issue that would need to be taken care of. We have more soldiers going in than we can take care of, and they need to be taken care of properly. My 5th child is at Fort Union Military Academy as a sophomore, and that's my family. My husband is retired from 15 years as the head of the Department of Forestry. He was our state fire chief for 15 years. He's currently serving right now. He was called in for emergency services to help with the disaster that occurred down on the East Coast with the hurricane. So he is away right now taking care of that and helping disperse those. He is a retired Army, and he also was a graduate of Virginia Tech. I am a teacher. I've taught in 3 different areas. I've taught in public school. I taught 13 years, 2 at Buckingham. I'm a lifelong resident of the 5th. I grew up in Buckingham, graduated from Buckingham, went to Longwood, and then came back, taught for 2 years in Buckingham, and then moved over to Feda. So I've lived my entire life in the 5th District. I know the 5th District, I know the people in the 5th District, and my mom lives in Cumberland. I have family still in Buckingham. I live in Feda. So I'm very proud of my roots here in the 5th District. The years that I was teaching back in the early 80s, or when I first started teaching, I also am a coach. And I was coaching at Buckingham. I was recruited to go across the river at Feda, and I started the girls basketball, volleyball, and track program at Feda County High School. And 3 years later, being 8 out of 9 in the district, we had back-to-back undefeated state championships in girls basketball, and also in girls track. So I was telling my kids the other day, one reason that you're going to work hard and do well in here is because I have high expectations, and I expect a lot out of myself, and I expect a lot out of my students and the people that I work with. So I have done very well encouraging, helping, supporting children to be successful at all levels. I left the public school system and went home and homeschooled for 9 years when I was pregnant with my third child, and enjoyed 9 years there with her, and then spent 8 years at private Christian school, an open door Christian school, and I started the boys basketball program there, coached soccer there, and at the end I was teaching all the high school sciences and PE and coaching the 2 different teams. So I've been very active all my life, and striving to do well in the things that I participate in. I also have been very active in the political scene. I spent 10 years as the unit chair in Feda. I began with the Mike Ferris campaign. Mike Ferris is the head of the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, head of the homeschoolers, and Mike needed a coordinator, and I took on that responsibility in '93 and served as Mike Ferris's coordinator, and then moved into the chair position and spent 10 years working in that capacity, building and growing what was a very weak unit into a very dynamic unit that won all the elections that came out of there in that 10-year frame of time for Virgil Good and George Allen and Mike Ferris and Jerry Kilgore, Mark Early, Ollie North, Fleet Vanna carried all of those candidates, even though they didn't win overall. Fleet Vanna was carrying all those candidates. I did that with grassroots. I did that with recruiting, building, encouraging, and getting precinct workers, going out, putting signs up. I've been in the trenches, folks. I've worked. I've done what y'all have done to be successful. So I've been right out there in the midst of it and working all these years, building, supporting, and helping conservative candidates and supporting conservative issues. I also spent 9 years on the school board. During the years that I was out of the public school system, I was appointed and then elected twice to the local school board. And I got some flack because I wasn't in the system and my kids weren't in the system. But I was reelected. My constituents knew me, they trusted me, they knew I would get back with them, they knew that I would reply to their answers. I answered every phone call, I took every question to the superintendent, and I dealt with everything in the meetings that was asked of me. I fought against school-based clinics. I fought for parents' rights to homeschool. I asked questions about where the tax dollars were being spent in our county, and these were the things that needed to be done at the local level. I was 1 out of 6, and many times I was the 6th one that was out there that people were thinking, you know, on the board, where was she? But the people wanted that, and the people respected that, and I was returned to that seat 2 different times because of my constituents' services and how I cared about what the people wanted done and how I listened to people and worked with them. Also, as the chair, was represented Fleet Vanna on the State Central Committee, and from there I was elected by my peers and served 4 years at the State Central level of a Republican Party of Virginia. Again, always working for conventions, working for things that supported conservative issues. I was also part of the State Central Committee in 2004 when Kate Openchain was the chair, and the State Central Committee, the Republican Party of Virginia, passed a resolution asking for our House of Delegates and our Senate to pass a balanced budget and not to increase our taxes by $1.4 billion. So I was part of that resisted that tax increase that Mr. Hurt chose to compromise and vote on, and I'll address that a little bit more later. So I was in the party at that time. I have a delegate, Rob Bell, who was in Richmond at the same time, and Mr. Bell has said that those revenues increases were ongoing, that he thought at the time, and still thought that with 11% increase, absent the tax increase, that should be enough over a 2-year cycle, and we shouldn't have had to add on an additional tax increase. It ultimately came out to 18%. He predicted that we would also have a surplus, which we did. And he thought the spending increases were enough, period. The AAA bond rating was always a farce, says Mr. Bell. The bond rating agencies told us they didn't care how things balanced. Spending cuts or tax increases, they just cared that it balanced. The Senate, as you know, had other ideas. Now that was my delegate. At that point in time in history, in 2004, my delegate was telling me, because Rob Bell stood firm with the conservative Republicans and voted no on that budget.